Hey guys, so today in class we talked a lot about this idea of photography and how photography is really the base of making movies. So as we're making movies, we want to make sure that we become adept photographers. We talked a lot about today some of the main components that take a snapshot and turn it into a great shot. So I wanted to kind of review those things here on our blog so you have a place to go back to in case you forget some of the main ideas, and just kind of show you how those ideas can be brought to life through a very short video. So one of the main things I want to talk about is this idea of framing your photograph and getting nice and close to your subject. So if we're going to be taking a picture of, say, one of these flowers here, most people would probably begin their picture something like this. The first thing is that you're too far away, and second of all, you have your subject directly in the middle of your shot. So one of the most important pieces of advice I would give is get nice and close to your subject. Get up close to exactly where you want to be and move around and angle until you find a position that you find interesting. And move around, try different things. Don't just stand in one place. Maybe you want to take a look at it from here, or maybe move behind it and see if anything changes. Keep in mind what's happening behind your frame as well, right? So for example, here we have that building, probably not as interesting as this kind of blackness from behind. The second thing is we don't want our subject to be right in the middle of the frame. In class we talked about the rule of thirds, meaning that we split up our frame into 9 separate spots. So a photo like this, we'd probably move the subject kind of in the lower hand here. So it's in one of the hot spots in the lower left-hand corner, or maybe we can move it up to the top there. That would be an interesting photograph, or maybe even to the right here. But you see that ugly dead flower in the left, so we realize we don't want that in our frame, so we would move over. So this right side is not working, as that left hand of our frame is not something we want. So something like this would look better, or even like that. I think moving around your subject is really, really important to get a view of every angle that we can and see. So if we're on this side, again, the backdrop, not as interesting, having that walkway. If we go like this, we can see that it becomes very silhouetted, right? Because the light is coming from behind. So this probably isn't the best angle as well, because we want the light to be shining on our subject. So here we can move up kind of close. Again, practicing with our rule of thirds, and that becomes a pretty interesting shot right there. One of the main tips I would give about photography and filmmaking in general is to always be looking. A lot of times we just kind of walk around campus oblivious to what's going on, not realizing there's so many interesting things to see. See, I just passed this up. So for example, I walk by these flowers every single day, and the secret is to just stop and take the photograph. Don't worry if other people are watching or if it looks embarrassing or whatever. If you see something that's worthy of a photograph, spend some time with your subject. Spend about 5-10 minutes there and take 5, 10, 15 photographs until you feel comfortable with the one that you've taken. So let me flip my camera around and show you an example. Every day I'm walking to pick my daughter up and I walk by and I see these tiny little pink flowers here. You see that? You would have missed them if you weren't looking closely. So if we come up close and really take a look at these guys, we'll see some pretty amazing things happening. Whoopsie, they're moving around with the wind. And it's hard to focus with this video camera, but there can be some really interesting photographs. So when you notice things that look interesting or pretty, or there's the light shining on them, just spend some time to look at them and take the photograph. Don't just stand back like this and take a quick snapshot. So as you can see, this photograph is nothing. It's just a bunch of tiny white dots. But if we move in closer to our subject, frame it properly, and really kind of focus and notice on the light, it can become an interesting photograph. Another tip I would give is don't just look directly in front of you. Occasionally look down, right? Look around, see what's going on the floor. If you can find some interesting patterns, get down close and see if there's things that maybe if you look up closer to the ground you might find. And equally look up. The clouds lately in Indonesia have been amazing. Today is probably not the best day, but you'll find some interesting things happening in the sky, or things with silhouettes and trees. So keep in mind that instead of just walking and looking around directly in front of you, it's important to look down and up to see what you might find. To get to places where you've never really been before. So as we look at these kind of pretty orange plants here, we might want to kind of actually move our camera right up into it and see if we can find some interesting angles, some interesting things that we can see. So those statues look nice from there, but I don't like that building in the back. So I'm going to try to move around a little bit and see if I can find a way to get them out of our shot. But I'm not finding it, so I realize that this is a lost cause and I'm moving on. Same thing with the pagoda. Not really loving this shot because it's too dark. The last piece of advice, or another piece of advice, is things don't always have to be what they are. Sometimes they could just be kind of abstract and shapes and shadows. So I love the curves and things of going on in our school. So take a look at this, something like a shot like that, with just a lot of black and open space. It's really just an experiment in shape and design. Someone asked, what's this a photograph of? There's no easy answer. It's just kind of different curves and light, contrast versus light. So your photographs don't always have to be of something. They could just be looking around and trying to find interesting contrasts. Okay, so there you have it. That's probably not the end-all be-all of tutorials, but it's some of the basics of how to take a decent photograph. I'm going to run upstairs now and edit this into some kind of movie and leave you instructions for how to post your daily shoot to Artosterus. I hope you guys have fun with this, and it shows you how to kind of look at the world more carefully and help you become a better photographer and ultimately a better filmmaker.